Yahoo! Welcome, my beautiful brothers and sisters, to the Aquarian Adepts, my platform to become your spiritual server. And today, we're going to be talking about this really intense full moon in Virgo that's happening tomorrow, the 1st of March. And my, hasn't February gone by really quickly? And I know it's the shortest month of the year, but even considering that, I feel like it's just flown by. Perhaps you have felt this too. So, what's happening right now? We are coming up on the full moon in Virgo, and this is a very, very powerful full moon. It's going to be a very healing full moon, and during this video, I'm going to explain just that and what exactly is going on and what is happening and how you can use these energies to enhance the quality of your life. Now, let's go ahead and get into the basics of this moon. So we have a full moon. It's going to be in Virgo. So what exactly is a full moon? Obviously, it's when the sun completely highlights the moon. So it's opposite. So the sun and the moon, they are at opposites. So right now, we actually have the sun, which is at 10 degrees of Pisces. So by tomorrow, the sun moves about 1 degree per day, about. So when it comes into the full moon position, when it's highlighting the moon, the sun will be at 11 degrees of Pisces, meaning that the moon will be at 11 degrees of Virgo. At the current moment, the moon is around 22 degrees of Leo, right? So what does all this mean? What is the significance of this full moon? Well, there are other aspects, of course, that are being made to this. We have to take into consideration that we have a lot of different energies right now in the sign of Pisces. It's not just the sun. We also have Neptune here, which is at 13 degrees. We have Mercury, which is here around right now, it's at around 19 degrees. We have Venus, which is at 22 degrees. And of course, we have the wounded healer Chiron at 27 degrees. So the moon, which is going to be in Virgo, is going to be making an opposition to all of these energies in Pisces, the stellium in Pisces. So Virgo, being the 6th sign of the zodiac, is the second earth sign. It's mutable earth. It represents our day-to-day reality. It rules our health. It rules pets. Virgo is a very meticulous sign. They're very detail-oriented. If you know any Virgos, you know that they really like to have everything kind of lined up in a row. This has to be here, this has to be there, and they're very meticulous about where things are and how things should be, right? They're very detail-oriented. And what is Pisces? Pisces is the dreamer. It's very imaginative. It's the magician. Pisces is like, I don't know, they have this quality to them where it's like they just touch something and then it's just, they see beyond this veil. They can look at, a house and be like, that's probably some sort of castle or temple in another dimension. Or they can look at a book and they'll be like, yeah, there are spells in this book, despite the fact that it's just a cookbook. That's how Pisces is. They kind of had this quality and energy to them where they are really tapped into the spiritual realms. So what's happening with this, is that when we have a full moon, you have a culmination of energies, right? It's highlighting the depths of our soul in many ways. It's highlighting all of these areas within our subconscious that we are becoming illuminated to. That's why the sun lights it up. And with the sun and all these energies in Pisces, it's going to be bringing with it this energy of how do you connect with the divine? How do you connect with spirit? And with the moon being in Virgo, what it's showing us, what's going to be highlighted is the way that we connect to spirit and the way that we connect to divine, and the way that we connect with our soul. How is that reflected into the outside world? Because that's in many ways what Virgo is. It is what you become. It's this outside world. It's the day-to-day reality. So some people are going to like what they see. Some people are not going to like what they see. And everybody has something that they need to change. This is why the energy is in Virgo. And there's going to be a tendency during this time to want everything to be done a certain way right now. But what Pisces time is telling us, while the sun is in Pisces, is that it's teaching us patience and to go with the flow. Pisces is a water sign. It's mutable water. So water already mutates what it looks like to the container that it is already, right? So when like if you put water in a glass, it takes the shape of that glass. So water in its very nature is mutable. But of course, we have cardinal water, which is, Cancer as far as direction. And then you have fixed water, which is Scorpio, which can almost be sort of icy. But Pisces, it's definitely, the mutable water where you have to learn how to go with the flow. Things are just going to pop up and you're just going to have to go with the flow. Whereas, with the moon and Virgo, from an emotional standpoint, we're going to want things to be a certain way. Like we have to be here at a certain time. We have to get this done at this time. And what we're going to be illuminated to is the fact that things don't always go the way we plan, right? And that can be frustrating, right? Maybe the job that you have, maybe it's not meshing with your soul, it's not meshing with your spirit. The relationship that you're in, it might not be meshing with your soul and your spirit, and you have to really be meticulous, and you really have to just trust, because this is an exercise in trust, and just feel into what changes you need to make. Like I said, we need to, of course, look at all of the other aspects of this full moon to kind of know really what's going on. And the other thing I want to note that, these moons and stuff, they do have different names. And the name of this full moon is the worm full moon. And it's named after that because this is around the time of year, at least in the northern hemisphere, where the earthworms begin to pop out, right? Which is a sign that spring is coming. This is the last full moon of the winter months because soon we will have the next solstice, right? So the fact that this is happening right now and that we have this worm full moon means that in many ways, a lot of us, we might have been feeling buried, or we feel like we haven't been able to manifest and attract the things that we really want. Like we can feel this deep change on the inside, right? With the sun being here and the Neptune being here, Mercury, Venus, and Chiron, we can feel this deep inner change. But there is this buffer effect on our exterior reality that's not reflecting the inner change that we're going through, that we're all going through. It's not reflecting it. And also, we have to also make consideration that the planets in Capricorn are making aspects to Pisces as well. They're making a sextile. And particularly Pluto, which is now at 20 degrees of Capricorn, is making aspects to the energies in Pisces. So not only are we like changing in many ways spiritually, but the way that we govern ourselves, the way that we see order, the way that we organize our society, that's changing. But once again, there's this buffer effect where it's not being reflected on the exterior reality as quickly as our inner reality is changing. Because the fact of the matter is that each and every one of us, Pluto is the planet of transformation, death, and rebirth, right? So our internal order, our internal politics, our internal government, so to speak, that's also going through a major upheaval and a transformation. And we are in many ways, we are increasing, or we are enhancing and upgrading the way that we connect to spirit on a day-to-day basis. That's what the moon's going to highlight. It's like, how can you integrate this into your day-to-day reality so you live a more joyous, fulfilled, and high vibrational life? How can you restructure the order of your dynamic, your inner dynamic, or at least become aware of the authentic dynamic of it? Because we truthfully, at our core essence, we are unchanged. We're unchanged observers. And we get caught up in the day-to-day reality. We get caught up in the emotions. We get caught up in the mind games that are played on us. We get caught up in all this. But our core essence and our spirit, we are really an unchanged, divine, almost spectator, right? So we have to realize that we are coming back into this self that is more aligned with the divine and, our highest good. But we have created a society that fosters this negativity, this doubt, this self-blame, this self-pity, and all of these anxieties and depressions. We live in a society where we have fostered and we grow this ignorance, we grow this unconsciousness. And then when people begin to flip out or people begin to, feel that something's amiss, we diagnose it, but we always attack the surface level, right? We don't really dig deep into what the core essence and the core problem of these issues are. We like to keep things surface level. But this full moon is going to bring it out to the surface. The earthworms are going to come out. And depending upon who you are, the early bird gets the worm. And one of my favorite animals, one of my spirit animals, is actually the robin. And the robin, I wrote a poem about the robin, about how the robin doesn't care about its size. It's just going to do what it does anyways. It doesn't give a damn about its size. It's going to live authentically. And I notice a lot of times that the robin is one of the first birds that comes out in the morning. They're always out, they're looking for food, they're singing, and then they're bringing it back to their nest. And I think that's very powerful to realize during this time, is that during this full moon, it's going to be healing in nature, because Virgo is the sign of healing. And we have to allow these things to come to the surface. We have to allow the earthworms that we have buried in the dirt come to the surface. And then we have to give ourselves the proper nourishment, right? And we have to allow ourselves to be healed, because sometimes we actually come into this weird thought process where we feel like we don't deserve healing, but we absolutely are deserving of healing. And we are deserving of deep healing, not just this surface level, put a band-aid on it type of healing, because that's not what Virgo does. Virgo gets into the depth of it, right? It pulls it out. It's interesting because, and I'm not going to take credit for this, but I've been following a lot of different astrologers, but one of the ones I've been following lately here is Christopher Witecki, and he goes by the system called Step Astrology. And I highly encourage you, he has a YouTube channel, and I probably will link it in the description below, because I feel like this is a system that needs to be more widespreadly known, and people need to be more aware of it, because it's just super powerful how even the degrees and the numbers, how they affect each and every sign. So it's interesting how in his step astrology system, Virgo is represented by Chiron. And what is Chiron? Its glyph is a key. And it's the wounded healer. So in the wounded healer is that spot in everyone's chart where we have these deep wounds from our childhood, from our past. And these wounds, we play out subconscious patterns from these wounds. But upon becoming aware of these wounds and healing these wounds, it's actually like a superpower. And once you heal this spot in your chart and you will begin to apply it, you will begin to see how you can use this superpower of healing these wounds, and how you can use it to spread awareness, to spread your joy, to spread your light, and to radiate love. Like for me, I have Chiron in Leo, which is being highlighted by the fact that the North Node is coming through the sign. So everyone who has their Chiron in Leo, the North Node is in many ways highlighting a lot of our deep wounds, and it's calling us back into our hearts. It's calling us back into our passions. It's calling us back into that creative expression, into that roar. It's calling us back into that, to be our authentic self no matter what, right? I believe the only true sin is not being authentic. That's what I believe the only true sin is. We all have made mistakes. We all have had past lives where we were assholes and bitches, right? We all have had past lives where we had taken advantage of other people and we have been taken advantage of. But the only real true sin is not living authentically. With the sun in Pisces, it's going to be at 11 degrees, and with the moon at 11 degrees, I think it's really interesting how, if you look especially at the step astrology, how everything just kind of crosses and combines, and it's almost perfect. Now let me explain though. So in his step astrology, every sign has a different number, right? So it goes from, and I'll probably will also list it in the description below, but it goes from Scorpio, which is step 0, then it goes to Leo, which is step 1, Then Cancer is step 2. Then you go to Sagittarius, which is step 3. Aquarius is step 4. Gemini is step 5. Then you go to Libra, which is step 6. Pisces, which is step 7. You have Capricorn, which is step 8. You have Aries, which is step 9. You have Taurus at step 10, and then you have Virgo at step 11. And each of these numbers and each of these signs have different energies that go along with it, right? And what he does is, like, each number, so say like 11 degrees, the sun's at 11 degrees Pisces. Just to kind of go through it quickly, this is talking about, not only is it 11, which is talking about, that Virgo energy, the Chiron energy, which is I become. It's also 1 and 1. So it's Leo, step 1, and Leo again. And this is happening with the sun and the moon. So the sun, which is already represented by the Leo sign, we are really being called into our hearts. We are really being called into connecting deeper to spirit and fostering a connection that is our own and unique. To have that personal connection with the divine, that's what we were calling into. And you also, if you think about it, it's not only just 1 and 1 and 11, but it's 1 plus 1, which is 2, which is the moon. And the moon, of course, is involved in this, right? You have 11 degrees of Virgo. What does this mean? This means that in order for us to heal ourselves, in order for us to heal these deep wounds that we have, we really have to protect our hearts and then really just express creatively from that space. Because what we're seeing with this full moon, that it's going to illuminate what we have become in this moment. You are the culmination of every choice that you have made up until this point and the choices that other people have made, but you are the culmination of all the choices that you have made up to this point. So the moon is going to highlight, this is who you are. This is who you have become. Do you like it? Do you not like it? What do you want to change? What tweaks do you want to make so it reflects more of your higher self, more of that higher expression, right? And what I want to do is I'm actually going to show you guys and just kind of track and show you how these different energies actually move throughout the chart. And when we come to the new moon on March 17th, how this change is really going to be implemented, because the energy of the full moon, they really last. You could say they technically last up to the next full moon, but they really last for like the 2 weeks up to the new moon, which the new moon is like when you plant a seed. It's a beginning, it's a start. And I'm going to show you here and track the moon as it goes throughout the chart, just how these energies are being aspected and just the significance and the importance of it. Because we can't just talk about the sun and the moon with this. We got to also talk about all those energies in Pisces and how they move coming up to this new moon. Not only that, but we do have a retrograde coming up. And the fact that all of this happens pretty much right before, like right in the midst of this retrograde and stuff, it's really, really powerful, important to see just how this is really evolving and how we're all being healed in such a profound way. We might just not be aware of it, right? So my phone actually is going to cut off here in a bit, so I need to, make some space on it, but I can't wait to just show you the progression of this chart and how things are moving. All right, guys, so here I actually do have the chart up. And as you can see, these are the current transits right now. So as you can see, the moon right now is in Leo, which is calling us back into our hearts. It's asking us to really feel from our hearts, from what our heart wants and our heart's intentions, and to express ourselves, to be passionate. As you can see, we have all of these energies in Pisces, right? You have the sun there, Neptune, Mercury, Venus, and Chiron. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how this is alright, so when it gets to the full moon, alright, so bam, okay, now right here you have the full moon in Virgo, right? It's making that opposition at 11 degrees of Virgo, and the sun is at 11 degrees of Pisces. Meanwhile, you also have Neptune at 13 degrees of Pisces. You have Mercury at 22 degrees, and Venus, which are, they're technically conjunct, is it's a close enough orb, or they're conjunct at Venus is at 23 degrees, and you have Chiron at 27 degrees. This is very interesting, and I'm going to track the energies. I'm going to show you this as it leads up to the new moon, and just how powerful this really is. Because as I said, with the sun at 11 and the moon at 11, it's calling us back into our heart to really feel from our heart, and to, this is what we have become at this moment. But we really have to, we have to come into that heart space and express and be creative and not be afraid. That's what this is all asking us, is to not be afraid. When you have Neptune at 13 degrees, this is saying, okay, what do we believe about what we sense? What do we believe about what our heart senses we should do? And then we have Mercury here, which is about communication. It's asking us, how do we feel about our communication with spirit? How do we what do we think about it? Like, how do we organize our thoughts when it comes to sensing where we belong in this world? Because you have 2 + 2, which is 4, I belong energy, which is Aquarius. But it's asking us, what do we feel about where we belong? Where do we feel about how we think, about, sensing all this? I know it's kind of interesting. Like I said, you have to watch his works. You have to watch some of his videos as far as like his step astrology goes. But with Mercury here at 22 degrees, we are really dealing with communication with spirit. We're dealing with communication with our feelings. We're dealing with communication to the feelings of others. How do we organize that? What are we telling ourselves? What are we telling others? Venus here is all about attraction. So how do we attract spiritual experiences into our life? Do you guys see 1111 a lot? Or are you actively going out there and making new connections? How do you attract this into your life? How do you attract spirit into your life? What do you believe about what you are attracting into your life? These spiritual connections. And then, of course, you have Chiron here, which is asking us to heal our connection to spirit, to realize that we all can have that personal divine connection. How do we feel about it? Okay? How do we feel about what we are sensing? Do we like it? Do we not like it? And then how are we going to act on it? Because 2 + 7 is the 9 energy of Aries, which is I act, I am. So how are we going to act? So this full moon is asking us, this is your reality. This is your day-to-day reality that you have attracted and you're being illuminated to. And there are spots that need to be healed. How are you going to heal this? What actions are you going to take to propel your life into that of a higher vibrational place? One where you can connect to spirit in your own unique, beautiful way every day and live a more fulfilled life and be a service to others too, because it's also about, serving others. And Virgo it's a sign of service as well, about the kind of work that you do for other people. So as I said, I'm going to track this over the days up to the new moon, and you'll see just how important this is. Okay, so if we just go day by day, the moon will come into its opposition with Chiron. Okay, and then as we go into the weekend, the moon's going to be moving into Libra. So it's really going to be talking about our relationships, romantic, family, friends, business. It's going to ask us, it's going to making this quincunx over here, right? And it's kind of a strained aspect, but it's really like, how can we improve upon this? Okay. Now what I'm about to come to is super important. Now the moon here is going to make its opposition to Uranus in Aries, which is at 26 degrees at this point. And Uranus in Aries is really asking us, because Uranus it rules Aquarius. It's the planet of revolution. It's the planet of it represents the high heavens. It's the electricity planet, and it's in Aries. So, what kind of revolutionized action can you take that's going to break you out of your subconscious patterns, and therefore allow you to attract partnerships into your life with Libra that better suit your, heightening vibration? That's what this is going to ask. That's that, because it's carrying the energies of that full moon. Okay, now this is going to be really important. Now, as the moon enters into Scorpio on this is really the important day, is March 6th. And there's a reason why this is super important, because as the moon comes into this space, Neptune has moved a degree. It's moved to 14 degrees, and you can already see that all these other planets have moved. So this is super important. Neptune is a slow moving planet. So the fact that it moves 1 degree as the moon enters into Scorpio is pretty freaking huge. Because it's asking us, we have 1 energy, which is I love, and then 4 energy, where do I belong? So we were just asking ourselves the actions that we can take, the revolutionized actions that we can take to attract better partnerships. And then as it goes into Scorpio and Neptune moves, it's also asking us the same question. Now we can really harmonize these energies. We're going to have this trine here, right? This trining energy. Now, March 6th is also important, mainly because this is happening right before this retrograde, okay? So if you go hour by hour, this is really cool. I like this because it gets to track it in real time, and you can kind of like go into the future and go into the past. So right here you have the moon conjunct Jupiter, right? Jupiter is at 23 degrees of Scorpio. And Jupiter has been asking us, how can we expand our lives by transforming those deep parts of ourselves that we don't really want to look at? Because Scorpio does that. Scorpio is the treasure hunter. Scorpio will go into the tombs and pull out all of our darkness so it can be revealed to us. It's actually a sign of purity, but it's also, a lot of people are afraid of Scorpio. A lot of people are afraid. It rules the 8th house, and a lot of people are afraid of the 8th house. But the moon is going to bring this energy that was highlighted while the moon was here in Virgo, and it's going to come on top of Jupiter, which is going to explain, okay, so how can I expand based off of what I pulled up? We all are diving into these waters, these deep depths, and we are pulling out this treasure chest of amazing experiences, amazing qualities about ourselves, and just this manifestation power that we probably just didn't know we had. But I want to show you what happens. I think it's important. I think it's amazing that the moon actually conjuncts Jupiter right before it goes retrograde. I'm going to go hour by hour. And as the moon continues to move, now it's in Sagittarius. So it's going to be meeting up with Mars soon. The moon's, and then at this point, it's going to be asking us about our belief structures. How do we feel about our belief structures? How do we feel about travel? How do we feel about the way that we learn? Okay, I'm going to keep tracking this, and then we'll see that soon we will come into March 8th, and this is a really important day. Why? Because it is on this day. It's going to be later in the day. By now, the moon has moved quite decently through Sagittarius, right? Bam! Did you see that? That is when Jupiter, right here, stations, and then it goes retrograde. This is huge. We haven't had all planets have been moving forward for quite a while. It's been about a month and a half, which means that all aspects of our consciousness are moving forward, and they're not in review period. So the fact that the moon was able to highlight and come over Jupiter before it goes retrograde and before it hits the new moon is huge, because we are literally getting a glimpse into the treasure chests of all of the beautiful things that we can pull out. And yeah, some of our fears there too, but how do we transmute those fears? Because the moon being a Sagittarius is, what do you believe about what you have uncovered? What do you believe about it? Mars is here, and it's wanting to take action. It's a little bit restless, but with the moon catching up, we really do have to consider our feelings. What do we feel? What do we believe about what we have uncovered? And do we believe we can transmute any type of fear surrounding what we have uncovered? Okay. Now I'm going to continue on. It's going to meet up with Mars, and then it's going to meet up on March 10th with Saturn. So it's talking about order and structure. And leading up to this new moon, so we have On March 16th, it's going to surpass Neptune. It's going to come over Neptune. So, which means that, and at this point, yeah, the energy of the full moon is not being as highlighted, but it still is asking, and Neptune is way out there, so it is going to be subtle. It's the moon, the way it highlights the energy as it comes over Neptune, it's going to be subtle, which is perfect because that's kind of what Neptune wants. It wants subtlety. How do you connect to spirit? And what do you believe about the people that you are connected with? Do they have that connection to spirit? And it could be in their own unique way, and no two people are the same, but how are they connecting to? What you have to look at who you are surrounded with as well. Now, I'm going to move this forward just by hour, because then you'll be able to get a better depiction of what's going on as far as leading up to this new moon. Because the moon, as you can see, it's catching up, it's catching up, it's catching up, it's catching up, and bam, new moon at 26 degrees. The sun is at the tail end of Pisces. Chiron has actually moved a step, which is also huge, because whereas before it was at 2 energy plus 7 is 9, I act, I am. Now it's at 2 plus 8, which is 10, Taurus, I manifest. So we are all going to be manifesting our new connection to spirit and our new day-to-day reality, and integrating this new connection to spirit into our day-to-day reality. 2 weeks after, about 2 weeks after that full moon. This is huge. Not only that, but we have to consider the fact that Mercury and Venus have moved quite decently into Aries. So we are going to be thinking about what we need to act on. We're going to be attracting more situations that are going to reflect where we feel we belong in terms of our connection to spirit, where we belong in terms of where we are in our day-to-day reality. And as you can see, these energies, while the new moon is happening, we have Mercury and Venus making a trine over to the North Node. The North Node is asking us to come into our hearts. This is like kind of where your aim is in life. It's the compass. And it's just amazing how, even though we might not necessarily be taking actions right here just yet, we are going to come more into a knowing of what we can do and what is possible to manifest. It's really quite incredible when you look at this in real time. And as you can see, Mars is coming at the tail end of Sagittarius at the end of all this. Saturn's going to move a degree in Capricorn to 8 degrees. So it's going to be really at a master step. It's going to be at a home step, because 8 is actually ruled by Capricorn. So we are going to be making decisions about where we are going and our aim and our direction, right? And if you just go hour by hour, even at this point, you'll see that at this point, the moon is smack dab between the sun and Chiron. And at the beginning of this whole transit, at the beginning of the full moon, Chiron was at this spot at 27 degrees. So the fact that the moon actually is going to be smack sandwiched between the sun and Chiron means that like this seed that's being planted right here is exactly the door that Chiron opened on the full moon. We just didn't know about it. Now Chiron's going to show us what we can manifest. And if you continue moving forward, of course, you'll see that the moon conjuncts Chiron, the sun moves the degrees, and we are officially entering into that new reality, that new world, and that new day-to-day reality of how you connect to spirit and how you really just live from a space where it's going to reflect who you are in many ways, So the thing that we need to consider during this time is what needs to be healed, and to still go with the flow, because it's not always going to be easy. It's Virgo, it's not going to be the easiest energy to deal with. I'm going to be honest. Like, I personally felt the energies of the full moon on Monday. Like, I felt the energies of this like way before, and like I had like this big breakdown, and I was just it was crazy. I felt the energies of the full moon coming well before, partially because I was studying all this stuff, and then I was just overthinking a lot of things like my job situation, relationships. But at the same time, there's great healing that can come from this. Incredible healing that can come from this. So, guys, that is really what's happening here. As you can see, as I was able to show you real time, just how the moon is going to move and how it's going to be making these aspects and how the signs, they move and how it's just, I encourage you, I encourage you to just remember that you are that eternal observer who is unchanged, but you still have that connection to the divine. And during this transit, you're going to come more into an awareness of how you have that connection, your unique way that you do it. Me, I like to dance a lot of the times. I'll put on music and I'll dance, and I just kind of feel the energy moving around me. And I have my different affirmations that I use every morning. Everyone has something that looks unique to them, right? I use poetry as another one of my ways of connecting. So whatever that looks to you, and just know that if you integrate this more into your day-to-day reality, your whole external reality is going to begin to shift to match that inner vibration. Because what's happening right now, like I said, with the stellium in Pisces, is that in many ways our spiritual and our inner world, it's being shifted and morphed. But then it's going to, we're really going to see over the course of these next 2 weeks how our external reality begins to shift and morph based off of the changes that we have on the inside. It's going to be profound. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be healing. It may be a little uncomfortable, but we need to learn how to go with the flow. So what I'm going to do just real quick is I'm just going to draw a card for each of the signs and then an overall card, and then I'm going to let you guys get on your way. But just remember that you are able, that you are beautiful, that you are creative, that you are divine, and that you are energetic, right? We are all digging into our wounds. We are all looking at our life in a very meticulous way, like with like a magnifying glass, and we're all gonna be like, damn, I didn't know that was there, and dang, I didn't know that crack was there, and holy crap, man, had no idea all these bumps and stuff were there. But at the end of the day, we're all human. Yeah, we are all spirit and we all have this connection to the divine, but we are all human, or at least we're playing the human experience. So be easy on yourself. Have compassion for yourself. I believe, especially during this transit, it is important to have compassion for yourself and to be aware that you're human. The person that cut you off in traffic is human. Your boss who gets onto you is human. We're all human, and we all are doing the best that we can with our given circumstances. So I am going to start with Virgo. Virgo, we have the Three of Dragonflies or the Three of Cups. So this is actually a celebration time. Perfect, because we are all celebrating this great healing that is coming. And it might be a little uncomfortable at first, but we will definitely have reasons to celebrate. It's going to be amazing and awesome. So for Libra, I have the Ten of Dragonflies. This is awesome. The Ten of Cups is a beautiful card because it's really showing that we can manifest this life that we feel we just feel that joy, we feel that happiness, we feel that bliss. And this is based off of the partnerships that we have. So it's like, Libra, you're going to be attracting people and experiences into your life that really give you this cup overfloweth feeling. That's really what's happening. All right. Scorpio, we have the Three of Beetles or the Three of Pentacles. So this is great because this is about, in many ways, this is kind of about new ventures, financial security, a sense of groundedness. Definitely, which is something is needed because I feel like a lot of Scorpios right now, they feel like we have like a lot of these ideas and all these things that we want to do, but learning how to implement them and to ground these practices is something that I feel like we might have been struggling with, or at least I know I've been struggling with it. But as we integrate this new way of connecting with spirit every day, we are going to implement these practices that bring about a more financial abundance, and it's going to allow us to create projects that really resonate with us deeply. All right. Sagittarius. Sagittarius, we actually have the full card reverse. And this is saying that Sagittarius, don't believe in what other people tell you. If someone tells you that you shouldn't go on that adventure, Sagittarius, you just have to flip that upside down and be like, you know what? I am the fool. I've been to many places. And the great thing about the fool is that, the fool, the court jester, was the one that entertained the kings and queens, and they're only able to do that because they've been to so many places. Sagittarius, you're a traveler, you're an adventurer, so go on that adventure. Go and open that business that you want to. Go to that new place that you really want to go to. Go after that relationship that you want. Just do it. Don't believe in the bullshit that people tell you that you can't do it. Don't let people tell you, oh, you're a fool. Be like, you know what? Damn right, I am a fool. Because it's the fools that really are the visionaries that change our world. Capricorn, we have the Six of Bees reverse. This is the Six of Swords. So Capricorn, this is known as the Voyage card in traditional astrology. And as you can see, we have this one bee that's kind of leaving the pack and going off on their own. And maybe you're feeling like that's what you want to do right now. And I would caution you taking action immediately. You need to actually feel through this because, you can be quite logical. You can be quite, even kind of cold when it comes to that. But you still want to check your emotions and realize, are you leaving situations that really don't serve you, or is it just your perceptions of those situations? Who knows? Maybe you don't have to leave. Maybe you're one of these bees right here, and you might be feeling and missing like you want to leave, but perhaps this is someone who is realizing that, perhaps if you're working, like, say, in an office and you're feeling like you want to leave, but really the cause of your strain is because of one person, maybe that person gets a promotion or they transfer somewhere else, and then it creates a more harmonious environment there. So maybe you don't necessarily have to leave where you are. You just have to alter your perception of where you are and just be grateful for all the things that you have. Aquarius. Aquarius, we have the Hanged Man in reverse. You probably feel like you've just been kind of hanging there. I feel like Aquarius right now are really trying to find where they do belong in the world. We did have the sun that just went through the sign. We have the South Node there. So Aquariuses they've been kind of like quiet lately. They've been like trying to figure out where they are. They've been on their spaceship flying around, trying to find the right people to connect with. And you kind of feel like you might just be hanging there. Because Aquarius, you're a service sign. You're opposite of Leo, so you are on that love axis. So you really do love yourself, but you also love service. That's one of your favorite things to do, is to be of service to people. And maybe the people that you're around, you feel like you've been working hard, you've been doing things, and people might just not be aware of it. But with this full moon, it's asking us to heal these parts of ourselves and to express ourselves in our authenticity. And you're going to attract the people, you're going to attract the tribe that you really belong with. And then the service that you give to these people, you're really going to feel good about where you are. And you don't have to just get in your spaceship and just, leave the atmosphere all the time. Pisces, we have the High Priestess. Oh my goodness. The High Priestess sits at the doorway between the light and the dark, and between the spirit realm and the physical realm. Oh my goodness, opening doors, being magical. You're kind of going down the rabbit hole a little bit, Pisces, but in a good way. Because you go down the rabbit hole anyways, and you're not afraid to do that, but you have more purpose with it this time. This isn't about escape. This is about changing your behaviors and your attitudes about how things are. And since you are Pisces and you just have that natural connection to spirit anyways, you're going to know what to do now. But you're kind of having to be shown with the High Priestess. It's kind of having to show you what your behaviors are, how you have been, and how you can make alterations to your day-to-day reality so it reflects that, what you are, Pisces. You are a go with the flow kind of guy, gal, Beautiful card, absolutely. Aries, we have the Two of Bees. This time we can reverse, right? So you probably have been feeling kind of stalemated. Kind of makes sense. There's all this water energy. You don't like water energy. You don't like thinking too deeply about your emotions. You want action, right? You want to take action, especially since Mars is in Sagittarius, you're really like, oh my gosh, I want to get this done now. I want to take this action now. I don't want to think about my feelings. I don't want to ruminate, but yes, there's something that you've been stuck on. You've been going back and forth in your head about, should I do this? Should I do A or should I do B? This full moon is going to let you know what you need to do, Aries, and you will be okay. Taurus, we have the Five of Cups, the Five of Dragonflies reversed. So this is, Taurus, you have been wanting to manifest things as well. And you have been kind of feeling, I would say, sorry for yourself. Perhaps you feel like you just haven't been in the right space. We have some energies in Capricorn, and with the moon in Virgo, it's going to bring a little bit more of that grounding energy. But Virgo, it's mutable energy, so you're going to have to change things, and you're a little stubborn, Taurus. You don't necessarily want to change. You kind of want to keep things the way they are, but you have to really ask yourself, is my external reality reflecting the changes that have been made on the inside? And do I have certain practices and things that I have been doing that are actually giving me more of this self-pity state? You don't want to do that, Taurus. So just realize that you do have to make some changes. You do have to heal yourself. You do have to come out of your stubbornness streak a little bit. But once you find that practice that really works for you, stick with it. Gemini, ooh, we have the Ace of Moths, the Ace of Wands. This is a powerful card. You're going to take action. You're going to move things forward. And the great thing is that when people meet you, they're going to be inspired to take action as well. That's really all I have to say about that. Cancer, we actually have Temperance. Interesting. We have Temperance. Cancer, I feel like you have to learn how to integrate. Of course, you don't have really an issue looking at your emotions. You live in your emotions, and since the moon is here, this is also really big for you because you're healing a lot of different aspects. But this is really about learning to have patience with yourself and learning how to integrate. You're going to know, probably more so than some of the other signs, and it'll even be reflected in your actions, how to implement these new, deeper changes as far as your connection to spirit goes and your connection to your higher self. But you want to have patience with yourself, and you want to, not be too hard on yourself. Show compassion, and you will be okay. But you do have to show compassion for yourself as far as all this goes. And of course, Leo, we have the Four of Moths, the Four of Wands. You have to find the right people and the right energies and the right experiences to marry yourself to. That's really what it comes down to, Leo. You have to find a way to really marry your heart. That's what this is all asking us anyways to do, because we have all this one energy. So you have to find this way and feel into this way of, how can I marry my greatest heart's intentions? And when you do that, when you figure that out, Leo, and as you implement this new way of living your day-to-day life over the next few days, and you're going to figure it out, Leo. I mean, you might actually figure it out quicker, or what I feel is that you probably will begin to live it quicker than most people, but you might become aware of it a little bit later. It might just be honestly apparent to you. Like, it'll be kind of almost obvious, but you won't really think about it until after the fact, like after the new moon. You'll be like, oh crap. I mean, wow, I just did that immediately. But you have to come into your heart. You have to figure out the right people to marry. And we marry everything. It's not just your spouse. You marry the music that you listen to. You marry the food that you eat. You marry it's everything. So you have to find the right things, and then you're going to bring this beautiful manifestation power into your life. And the overall card that I have is, okay, wow. I actually have the high priest. You see those keys there? You know how Virgo is represented by Chiron, which is a glyph? We're opening the doors to a new world and to this healing that's going to allow us to foster that connection to spirit in a deep, more profound way and integrate this into our day-to-day reality so we may attract experiences that make our heart flutter with joy, bliss, and happiness. And we can achieve a more inner peace. Well, we have to realize that we are all human. We all have our things, we all have our issues to heal, but we all have our gifts. We are the ultimate gift that we want to give to the world. We are that gift. So, in order for us to do that, we have to heal. In order for us to give our greatest selves and our highest selves to the world, we have to heal. We have to have the courage to move through that doorway, to turn the key and to unlock that new reality. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me on this video. I know it's a little bit longer than usual, but I got really excited just because this is a very, very powerful full moon. And I trust and believe that you will use the energies of this full moon to heal that part of you which needs to be healed so you may propel into that more divine, blissful, joyous, enthusiastic life where you wake up every day and just like, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, God. Thank you so much. I am so happy and grateful that I have manifested this day-to-day reality that is reflected of my connection to you, God. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like this video or any of my other videos, please like, share, and subscribe, and check me out on my other social media links below. And of course, remember, my beautiful brothers and sisters, to keep moving forward. Stay focused, stand. Yahoo! Smile often.